Hello all, welcome to a demo session of Django. So as part of this session, we will be looking at a brief intro on Django. After that, we'll also be covering the MVC MVT architecture that Django follows. Once the theory part of it is over, we'll be looking at the setup of environment, which is basically the development environment, and then we'll try to create a sample web application using Django. Before we go further into the theory of Django, we'll like to point out something about the video. Basically, this video has been brought in by KT Skills, which is an online portal for online training center. So basically, here you can go to this site and have more than 25K online courses available for you. So with these courses, you can learn right from the comfort of your home as well. So they offer a lot of coaching courses and life building educational activities, plus high quality videos are available. So yeah, head over to this site. The site is ktskills.com. Okay, moving ahead to the Django. So as the definition says on the slide, Django is a high-level Python web framework that encourages rapid development and clean, pragmatic design. Quite a lot of jargons, but yeah, let's break it down a bit. So, a few points that we can look here is first, it's a web framework. Then, it's a high-level language written in Python. It encourages rapid development and clean, pragmatic design. So when we say it's a web framework, that means it's a set of web rules with which you can create a web application. Okay, so that kind of defines the web framework part of it. Now going to the high level language, as we all know, Python is a high level language. So yeah, that's why it says it's a high level language written in Python. And using Django, we can create web applications quickly. Like literally, you can have a web application running in about 10 minutes time. We'll be doing a demo today, and as part of that, you can see like how fast it is to get a web application up and running quickly. Uh, Not to mention that due to the very strict and properly defined rules, the design of the web application is quite clean. So yeah, that's the theory of it. Let's go and have a look at some of the features of Django. Okay, so Django, if we look in a nutshell, has these features. I'll try to explain each of them one by one. So when we say loosely coupled, so basically a Django project, if you create, it consists of smaller apps or modules that we call sometimes. So those modules are more or less always independent of each other. So that's why it's called as a loosely coupled web framework. So you can create a part of your project somewhere, another part of it in a silo, and then bring them together and they will work perfectly fine. Then due to lot of boilerplate code available, we have to do a lot less coding. We just need to define a few parameters, and based on that, most of the aspects of the page will be available. Then comes don't repeat yourself. So as part of DRY, it basically means that we have to write one part of the code and in a place, let's say create an app for it. The same app in a particular project can also be used in a different project altogether. Just copy and paste and it's good to go. So that's why it says don't repeat yourself. You don't have to rewrite the same part of the app again. Then fast development, as you can see with the boilerplate code and the DRY concept, it becomes very fast to develop application. And clean design, we have already seen this in the last slide. So yeah, with the set of rules that we have, the overall web design is very much clean. Every layer is segregated and independent of each other. Now, Django has a very good ORM support. In fact, it it has a concept called models. So using models, you can very easily create all the DB operations that one does in a web application on day-to-day life. Then Django has multilingual support, so you can very easily add support for any language. That is the internalization part. Then Django has support for multiple frameworks like REST API, etc. So using that, we can extend the functionality of Django or provide APIs to external world as well. The best feature that at least I like is the admin GUI of Django. So this GUI basically helps you to control the behavior of the models, and then some admin tasks like deleting some data or managing data, etc., can be done as part of the admin GUI. And the best thing is that it's already available as part of Django. So all we have to do is register our model to the admin GUI, and we have a fully functional admin GUI with our model in it. We can do all sort of activities on it. Last but not the least, we have the development environment which Django provides. So it has inbuilt development server, and it has some debugging tools as well. So basically you can very easily write your application, deploy it on the dev server, and see firsthand as to how the whole thing works. Yeah. So with these concepts clear, we will now head into the MVC and MVT architecture that Django follows. So if you look at the MVC, we'll actually cover MVC first, and then we'll go to MVT. So if you look at MVC, it basically consists of model, view, and controller. So what happens is that model is the layer which interacts with DB. This is also the layer which will store all our data into the database. View is the layer in between the controller and modeler, and its job is to interact with the model, create a response for the request, and then return it to controller, which in turn will return it as a response to the user. And controller is the front end, I mean the one which faces the user request. So basically whenever a request comes in, it's the controller that receives it and then redirects it to the appropriate view. We'll move to the next slide where we can actually see how it works. So let's say a request comes in. This request is front-ended by the controller. The controller receives it, and now the request can be of two types. One, directly updating a DB. In that case, the controller can itself make the call interaction with model and update the corresponding values in the DB. This can be either a update or a delete. Let's say the request is such that we have to show some presentation layer, uh, which will also have data in it. So in that case, the controller will redirect the request to a particular view, which I mean the appropriate view for which the request has come. That view in turn will call the model, get the data, populate the presentation layer, and then return a response, which is then returned back to the user. This is how the model view controller architecture works. Now we will have a look at the MVT architecture. So in model view template architecture, The controller is replaced by a template, and the controller action is actually done by a URL redirector. So we will have a look at here in this. So let's say this is a Django server. User sends a request to Django. Django will have a URL redirector. So based on the URL, the redirector will send the request to a view. Now the view will decide if it has to contact the model, get data and return back, or it has to contact a template. Template is just a HTML file, basically a boilerplate for your UI. So the view will decide whether to contact the model or to the template to return a response. The view can also contact the model, get some data, update the data in template, and then return the final response. So the whole thing is basically like you enter a shop, a garment shop, let's say, and there you basically go to the counter and ask for, let's say, a shirt. So the person sitting at the counter will redirect you to the appropriate employee who specializes in shirts. Now there are two options. The employee can either go to the back room, get the requested dress for you, or the employee can take the dress directly from the shelf, etc., and then show it to you via the templates, like maybe a book or something. So based on either of the, I mean, based on the request that you have provided, appropriate shirt will be provided to you. So this is how the whole MVT pattern works as well. All right. So with all the theory behind us now, let's head and see some action into Django. So, as part of our hands-on, today we'll be looking into the first step, which is installation of Python. Here we'll be targeting Python 3.x. Actually, it's 3.5 and above. That's the one with which Django 3 works. Then we will create a virtual environment. I'll try and explain why do we need a virtual environment and why can't we run with the Python libraries directly. Once the setup of the environment is complete, we will install Django and then create a project. So without any further delays, we'll head into the installation of Python. Yeah. So Python can be easily downloaded from the given URL in the slide, and the instructions are fairly simple. We just need to follow the instructions, and Python will be installed. It can be followed and done on either Windows or Linux. Both are fairly easy. Once Python is installed, we just need to verify that it's done properly. We can simply run the command Python double hyphen version. It will return us the version of Python if everything has gone through fine. So once Python has been installed, we now have to create a virtual environment. So before we create a virtual environment, let's understand why it's actually needed. Let's assume there are two friends in a hostel and they both share a computer. Now they both have two different Python projects as their assignment, and they have to work on two different versions of Python. So assuming friend 1 installs a version of Python, completes his assignment, and then friend 2 comes in, he installs a higher version of Python. Then he can very easily complete his assignment. But now when friend 1 returns back to check his assignment, he won't be able to run it because the versions of Python are mismatching here. Also, friend 2 might have installed a few extra components of Python which friend 1 does not require. So this kind of creates a conflict between the Python libraries of friend 1 and friend 2. To avoid this, we take a copy of Python for and create a separate Python virtual environment for each of the two friends. So whatever friend one does in his copy will not be reflected on the copy of friend two. So with that understanding, let's see how we actually create a virtual environment. So just take any directory in your system. It can be some work directory or something which you normally use. Go to that directory and type the command python hyphen m. Then the key here is venv. This is the virtual environment key. And then, sorry, it's the keyword. And then here is the name of the folder, I mean the virtual environment. So we can give any name over here. So I have provided env as the virtual environment name. So when we hit enter after typing this command, it will create a folder env under which we will have all the Python libraries. I'll just show it. Yeah, so this is the env folder that got created for me, and under this folder we have all the Python libraries. If you look, so this is Python 3.8 pip, everything is installed here already. So all that we have to now do is activate this environment. So activation basically means that now all the binaries that are there in this folder will be available on ClassPath, and Windows or Linux machine has to use those binaries when we invoke any Python command. So to do it on Windows and Linux, there are slight uh, differences. So in case of Windows, go to the env folder, then navigate to scripts and run activate.bat. In case of Linux, go to the env folder, then navigate to bin and then run activate. So I'll show it for Windows. The same holds good for Linux also. So I already am in env folder, and the next step was to navigate to scripts folder. So I go to scripts and then call activate.bat. The moment I hit enter, I'll see that there is a env prefix. I mean, this is the name of the virtual environment that we were using. In our case, it's env. So yeah, env has been prefixed to the overall path of command prompt. This means that now we are in the virtual environment and it's activated. To deactivate and return back to normal, activate, and it becomes a normal command prompt. So yeah, this is how we work with virtual environments. Now let's see how we can install Django. So the first thing is that we navigate to the virtual environment directory and activate it. Once the directory is activated, we issue the command python-m pip install Django. It's a straightforward command. There is no extra thing required here. Internet connection is required because it will download all the libraries from internet and then install it in the virtual environment. One thing we must remember, and without this, the whole thing will be waste, is that we should be in the virtual environment directory and the virtual environment must be activated. If it's not activated, Python Django will be installed in the default Python of the system, not in the virtual environment. So once Django is installed, then the next step is that we again this is mandatory to keep the virtual environment activated. We go to our workspace folder, it could be any folder in our system, and issue the command Django admin start project and then name of the project. So let's show it how actually it has done. So I'll do one thing. I have created a folder named demo. Under this folder there is nothing right now. Now I will issue the command Django admin start project, and I'm giving the name as skills. I hit enter. It takes a couple of seconds, and now we'll be able to see that it has created a folder named KT skills. So this is a project that is created for us. We will walk through the project to see what exactly it has done for us, and then things will get a bit more clear. So we will have a look at the project structure. So our project name was KT skills, so it will create a folder named KT skills. Then under KT skills, you will find a file manage.py and another folder which is the KT skills main site containing all the configuration and URL redirection logic. Everything will be under this. Under the under KT skills folder, or in this case my site, we will be adding more apps to add more functionality to the UI. So now going into the app my site or KT skills in this case, we'll find the init file which makes it a module. Then there is a settings.py which actually contains all the settings. Then there is urls.py, and just to note, this urls.py is the same urls controller which we saw in the MVT template. There was a URL controller. So that is this urls.py. After that, we have ASGI and WSGI Python files. These are deployment controllers. So these will be looking into the later stages of our project. So we need not worry about it for now. So I'll try to walk through in the actual project as well. So we have the parent folder which is KT skills. Under this we got manage.py file. This is the main management folder with which we can run the dev server or do all development activities. We also have KT skills app, under which we have settings.py, init.py and URLs, and ASGI and WSGI files. So this is just as demonstrated in the slide. Now with this much, I mean, basically in Django so far we have written one line to create a project. Now we will add one more line, and the same project will be running on, I mean, we will be able to see your demo page on the browser. So without wasting any time, we'll head to run the server. This is the development server that we are going to run. It's packaged as part of Django itself, and we'll try to see what it does. So to run the development server, we first navigate to the KT skills folder, or basically we have to navigate to the folder where we can find manage.py file, and then we have to issue this command. Please note this Python p will be small. I think it's auto corrected by ppt. Okay, so we'll run this command python manage.py run server. I'll type the command and hit enter. So what happens is that it will first scan the project, check for all the settings and everything. Once everything is fine, it will print out the message starting development server, which can be accessed via this URL. And it also says that you can close the server via Control Z. Now, one thing that we need to keep a note of is that we'll see a kind of warning saying you have 17 unapplied migrations. So for now, we will ignore this warning. This basically means that we have added a few apps in our project. I mean, it automatically gets added when we create the project. So those apps have few models which are not yet migrated to the DB. We'll talk about this in detail when we actually deal with models and their migration and everything. So far, ignore this message, and now let's head to let's copy this URL and I'll open a browser, type the URL and hit enter. And this is the default Django page that normally Django provides with its development server. So if you are able to see this page, that means yes, your Django setup is ready and you have successfully created a project which at present does not do anything apart from showing this demo page. But yeah, it's a ready page now and the project is ready for use. So yeah, this is the page. So that will be all for today regarding the Django offerings. Now I would like to talk a bit more about the salient features of KT skill that we will be providing to you if you choose to learn Django with us. So some of the features are, as you have already seen in this demo session, that yeah, we'll be providing hands-on based approach to your learning, and any doubts will be taken care of in some remedial sessions as well. And in case we are not able to arrange sessions, we'll make sure that the doubts are cleared, maybe immediately after the class, or maybe some specific sessions for those doubts itself will be done. But yeah, we'll make sure that the doubts are cleared before we can close the concept. Then every topic in the details will be as per the industry standards. I'll be trying to show you some of the major companies that are right now using Django. So we will try to replicate their success story, and will try to show app actually, which will be the hands-on for the whole session. So that will be up to the industry standards and maybe beyond as well. You will get high quality education video with lifetime access. That's always there, and we will try to help you in resume preparations as well, and will perform some mock interviews for you so that you get more in hands-on knowledge about the interviews as well. Okay, as stated a few seconds back, so I told I'll be showing you some very popular sites that use Django as their backend. So yeah, let's let that part. So you can just Google for this site djangostars.com. So basically, they are a listing of the top 10 popular sites that use Django for their website. So if you have a look at it, you will find sites like Discuss, then yeah, our own very friendly Instagram, Spotify. All these sites are running on Django. YouTube too is on Django. It was initially on PHP, but then due to its growth and all, they moved it to Django. Washington Post, Bitbucket, all these sites are running on Django. Dropbox, Mozilla as well as running on Django, Eventbrite. So yeah, if you look at it, Pinterest is also there. So these sites are very famous, and yeah, they have chosen Django as their backend. So as you can see, Django is quite a famous language, and hopefully we'll walk through it together and reach new heights. With that,